Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Terrence Reed, one of your hosts for the Clunk Center. As you've noticed by the apparent lack of a very nice kitchen behind me, this is not the usual Clunk Center episode because I am flying solo on a new show this week. It will be called The Topic of Top Picks. And this week's topic for Top Picks is the Royal Rumble 2017. Let's get into it. The first pay-per-view of 2017 that has both brands competing in a 30-man Royal Rumble for the main event slot at WrestleMania. We start off the show with the pre-show matches. First match on the pre-show is going to be Nia Jax versus Sasha Banks. An interesting feud that has developed for whatever reason. I think it's just two girls that want to be the boss. Nia Jax is big and she's bad. Sasha Banks is just bad. I would expect your top pick to be for this match as Nia Jax. Sasha Banks is still injured. See that being a major theme for this match. Nia Jax will definitely get the win over the Boss of Boston. The pre-show is looking more like an exclusive Raw pre-show because the next match is going to see the Raw Tag Team Champions Antonio Cesaro and Sheamus go up against the Club, Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. The Club has earned this match from a little bit of a kabuki finish where they did technically win the tag team titles, but because of a kabuki spot between the two teams, Antonio Cesaro and Sheamus did retain the belts. I don't see them losing the belts either at this pay-per-view. Too soon, not much of a build-up, though I'd love to see the Club win the belts after a long run going up against the New Day. I'm going to say Sheamus gets the pin on Carl Anderson after a little bit of kabuki, and this run will continue for Cesaro and Sheamus. Don't expect it to end anytime soon. Maybe around WrestleMania. I retract my previous statement because apparently SmackDown is going to have a match, and for whatever reason, their women's champion is going to be mushed up into a 6 Divas tag team match. Let's see if I can remember everybody who was in that match off the top of my head. Good girls. Nikki Bella. Naomi. It's gotta be Becky. Bad girls. Alexa Bliss, she's the champ, duh. Mickie James, welcome back, and this is awkward. Natty, because there's only like 6 or 7 girls on SmackDown anyway. I could guess anybody, I probably would have been right. Definitely see the bad girls getting this. Mickie James just returning. Alexa Bliss is still the champ, still trying to get a little heat off her and make her credible. Bad girls are going to win this one. Alexa Bliss will probably pin Naomi. I think that's a safe bet to set up a program between the two. That's going to be your future Divas matches for the next 2 or 3 pay-per-views, Naomi and Alexa. Should be good. Should be good. Glad Nikki's back, too. Right. You've had your soup and salad. Let's now get to the main event course for the Royal Rumble. We're going to the real show itself. First off, it's going to be the Cruiserweight Champion, Rich Swann, going up against Adrian Neville. A new heel Neville. Nev Evil, if you will. 205 Live, the Purple brand, has had a little bit of trouble because there's really been nothing to build around. But with a new heel in its rank, a very credible Adrian Neville, I would expect them to put that belt on him as quickly as possible. He's definitely my top pick between these two guys. And hopefully, when Austin Aries comes back from injury, we're going to have a pretty cool series between the two of them. Picture it now. WrestleMania. The Cruiserweight Championship. A cape versus cape match between Neville and Austin Aries. It just prints money. Your next match is going to be Charlotte Flair versus Bayley for the Raw Women's Championship. This is great because Charlotte now has a pay-per-view winning streak that seems almost unstoppable. Sasha Banks has done her best but has only been able to beat her on Raw, and no woman's been able to beat her on pay-per-view yet. My top pick for this is still going to be Charlotte. That streak is not going to end at the Royal Rumble. This is something that needs to build up to Mania. Bayley's going to get her shot, but it's not going to be right now. Charlotte Flair is definitely my top pick for this match between the two. Ladies and gentlemen, sound the kabuki alarm because it's about to get weird. We have Kevin Owens with Chris Jericho in a shark cage above the ring against Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship, which is now a no disqualification match. Okay, let's think this through for a second. So you have Chris Jericho suspended in a shark cage because you don't want him to interfere. The no disqualification thing now encourages people to interfere. So the one guy that would do it, yes, is locked up. But who's to say someone else isn't just going to come out there and help Owens anyway? I get it. It's because you don't want Kevin Owens to win via disqualification and keep the belt, but that doesn't mean someone's not going to still interfere. This is probably the hardest pick for me for the night. I'm going to go with Roman Reigns to win this one. No, let the boos reign in. I don't care. We have what will most likely be the best match of the night as the 15-time champion goes up against the man who's owned the blue brand, AJ Styles, for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. This is interesting because they have not built up Cena's going for tying Ric Flair's streak at all for this. It's just that he's facing AJ because he can. John Cena has been the face of the WWE for the better part of a decade, and AJ Styles is now competing to be the face of the blue brand, which, Cena is on. It's two guys just trying to prove who is the better man, which is great, and the better man should be the World Heavyweight Champion. What's interesting about the Royal Rumble is that not only it decides who's the champion for WrestleMania, it also decides who's going to go up against that champion at WrestleMania. I foresee AJ Styles still winning this match, beating Cena, and solidifying himself as your World Heavyweight Champion. And now we get to the reason we're all paying for the WWE Network this month. It's the Royal Rumble match. 30 men will enter, but one man will be left standing with a spot at WrestleMania with a title match of his choosing. Now, I'm looking at the Royal Rumble very unique this year. I'm thinking of ways that they could build a very credible star for the next generation to come. You have a lot of big names going to be in the Royal Rumble this year. You have Goldberg, Brock Lesnar, The Undertaker. These are guys that are legends in this business. But I don't see any one of them winning. You have a lot of big names in this match, and that means they don't really need to win it. They can have a match set up just because they are who they are. Two of those big names are Brock Lesnar and Bill Goldberg. They don't need to win this match because they're already on a roller coaster ride to WrestleMania to face each other for that final blow-off match. And hopefully make up for WrestleMania 20 where we all just shit on it. Taker is the only big name amongst them who I think has a chance to win this. But let's go down through my top 3 people to win the Royal Rumble, and I'll give you number 1 why he should win the match. My number 3 pick is actually going to be The Miz. Now, before you start disliking everything and shitting on me for my opinion, hear me out. The Miz has pretty much been the top heel with a character on SmackDown, and one of the main reasons to kind of watch the show. He has made the Intercontinental Championship really mean something for guys like Dean Ambrose, Dolph Ziggler, Apollo Crews. I was going to call him Apollo Crews. I feel like The Miz winning the Royal Rumble would actually build a very interesting story, not only for him and who's ever champion at the time, but for the continuing feud that's been going on with Daniel Bryan. The Miz has made himself out to be a star that the brand should be fighting over, and let's be real, whoever the Royal Rumble winner is a top commodity within the WWE. If The Miz were to win the Royal Rumble, he could go back and rub it in Daniel Bryan's face saying, hey, I'm the guy that you should be cheering for now because I represent your brand at WrestleMania and can win the championship. It also means that he can go over to Raw if he wanted to and win their major title, which I don't think Daniel Bryan wants to happen if he's the main event headliner. I think it also leads to a very interesting point now where if Cena is going to be a part-timer, you're going to need a full-time face and a full-time heel. The WWE can do something very unique in this scenario. They can do a double turn, where AJ Styles not only survives the Elimination Chamber, but retains the belt to then face a furious Miz who wants to be the main event talent that he's always said he is. You then establish a face for the blue brand in AJ to go on for years to come, and you also have the Miz as a now solidified heel for the brand as well. Two guys that can carry you on for the next 2 years, and establishing a new star in the Miz as a main event player once again. The Miz's first run as champion was a little poor, but I think now with this character of being the A-lister, he stands a chance to be in the big C with a lot of these top guys. Miz is a definite pick for the Royal Rumble this year. My number 2 here is Sami Zayn. He has a very similar theme to The Miz, but it's interesting because he's already the good guy. He feels that Mick Foley has been undermining him quite a lot with the Braun Strowman feud, and that he hasn't been giving the chance that he deserves. Taking a lot of the time to Twitter to say, hey Daniel, got a spot for me? And Daniel Bryan even arguing for him to come over to the blue brand. If Sami Zayn were to win the Royal Rumble, now Stephanie and Mick will become groveling to him, be like, hey, no, you're our guy, you're definitely our guy, let's go for this. But let's also add on the fact that if my pick for Roman Reigns doesn't happen, and Sami Zayn does win the Rumble, you have a very, 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 very historical feud build up between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn now as your main event for WrestleMania. They had a match already this past summer that blew the roof off the place, and why not have that highlighted at WrestleMania? It has a story built into it already that's very natural and can highlight this new title that you have being defended for the first time at WrestleMania. My number one pick is probably a fanboy pick, mainly because I hope this guy returns at the Royal Rumble, and that's Finn Balor. It's no surprise that when a WWE superstar gets hurt, they usually come back to the Royal Rumble with a big surprise and then a big story. Look at Edge, look at Cena, look at Triple H. It's an old theme, but it always works. A guy triumphantly returning for the belt that he never lost. Now, while Kevin Owens is the longest reigning Universal Champion, he is not the first reigning Universal Champion. Once again, we have a lovely build-up with either Kevin Owens going up against Finn Balor, or you have Roman Reigns going up against Finn Balor. It's no surprise that the universe does not like Roman Reigns. What better way to rile up the WrestleMania crowd than to have Roman Reigns come in as your champion, and then Finn Balor take the belt back for all you internet marks? And it's also no secret that they already had huge plans for Finn Balor after having him debut on the main event roster to then win their new main title. The show is going to be built around him one way or another. If he is cleared to come back, I expect him to win. So let's recap everything really quick. In the pre-show, we have Sasha Banks going up against Nia Jax. I expect Nia Jax to win the match in about 9 minutes, 23 seconds. The Raw Tag Team Championships will be on the line, and I expect Cesaro and Sheamus to beat the club, with Cesaro getting the pin on Carl Anderson. The good girls versus the bad girls on SmackDown. Expect the bad girls to take this one to continue the feud. Alexa Bliss will pin Naomi. The Cruiserweight Championship will crown a new king as Adrian Neville beats Rich Swann to become your new purple belt holding guy. The streak of Charlotte Flair will continue as she beats Bayley in 14 minutes and 59 seconds. The Universal Championship will be met with a lot of boos and a weird gimmick, but expect Roman Reigns to win the belt that night. And hopefully it's not a long 2 months for us. The WWE Championship will be on the line, and so will Ric Flair's record. However, Cena will not beat AJ Styles. AJ Styles will take the belt to the next pay-per-view. And my top 3 picks for the Royal Rumble. Number 3, The Miz. Number 2, Sami Zayn. And number 1, a returning Finn Balor. I'm Terrence Reed. We just discussed the topic of the top picks for the Royal Rumble 2017, and you listened to me ramble about wrestling for about 10 minutes. What are you doing with your life? If you liked what you saw, you disagree with what I said, or have some own interesting twists on how the Royal Rumble should go, be sure to comment in the section below. Give us a like, and if you really want to hear me do this every month before each pay-per-view, maybe subscribe.